Hey, it's Chris back with another interview from Peaks Island Radio. Today I'm pleased to be joined by Danielle Madore and Rose Ann Walsh. They both have quite the history with the Ladies' Ball out here on Peaks Island. The Ladies' Ball is going to be happening on December 3rd this year at 6 o'clock at Jones Landing. Danielle is spearheading this year's Ladies' Ball effort, and Roseanne has been involved for many years, and it started off as a birthday celebration for Sandy Radis. Hope you'll enjoy this conversation, learn some new things, and head on over to the Ladies' Ball, if you're a lady, December 3rd at 6 p.m.
All right. Well, thank you both so much for joining me to talk about the Ladies' Ball, which is happening on December 3rd this year. But I know ever since Bridget and I have been out on the island that the Ladies' Ball has been a thing. It's been definitely something that people have looked forward to each year, and it's sort of changed, and every year is a little bit different. So I'm wondering if the two of you could first start by talking about maybe the origins of the Ladies' Ball and how it began out here on Peaks.
I'm Roseanne Walsh, and Sandy Radis was having a birthday party. It was her 50th birthday party, and she, and along with maybe 5 or so other island women, were turning 50, and she decided to rent Jones's Landing and have a ball gown party for her 50th birthday party. And after that, it was so much fun. Robin Clark, who owns the Landing, suggested that we do it every year. And so we became the committee, and we would do it each year, and the money would go to Breast Cancer Research Foundation.
That's terrific. Can you tell me a little bit about what that first year was like? Like, I understand wanting to do a ball gown party, but where did you get the gowns, and what was it? Was that all like?
In the beginning, Sandy would actually sometimes have such a party at her house for her birthday. And as we decided to do it, we'd be in a Salvation Army, or you go by a Goodwill, and they were inexpensive, and we would pick them up. And I can't remember how many years, but for quite a few years, we'd have what we called a try-on party, and that would happen on a Sunday afternoon in the community room, and we would hang up dresses. As the years went by, we added shoes. People would have other handbags, gloves, everything. And we would invite anybody to come and try on a dress, pick out a dress, and then after the ball gown, you returned it. So we had dresses in our attics. And then as years went by, I think people just enjoyed finding their own dresses. And so we stopped that piece of it.
Did you say you still have some, a vat full somewhere, or?
I do.
You do? Oh, it would be great to get your hands on those for this year. I don't know. I wonder if people would want to see them, or I don't know. Either wear them or put them on display.
Towards the end, there were a few times people would call either Sandy or I, and we would just bag up some and drop them at someone's house so they would pick them up. Mine are packed away in my attic. I might be able to get a few out and pass them along, but time-wise, I'm not sure that will work. But I'd be willing if I can.
Maybe next year we could have a try-on party before.
That was a blast because we would try on the dresses with them. And then we could say after a few years, oh, so-and-so wore that dress.
Yeah.
Oh, so-and-so wore that dress. Oh, you look great in that dress. And yeah. So
was there some duct tape involved too?
Duct tape. And I remember there was someone came out and said, they broke the zipper. So it was just fun. It was just fun.
Did you ever have any special requests where people would say like, oh, well, I remember that so-and-so wore that last year, and that's the dress that I want?
I don't know. They might have. One time, Sandy's daughter was in a play, I think it was, and I had a dress that she asked if she could wear for the play, and it was one from the ball gowns. Yeah. And when we say ball gowns, they're not big. They're just fancy dresses. So.
Yeah, party dresses.
Yes.
Yeah.
And now, as the years have gone on, it's become definitely a big event. Is it still tied to Sandy's birthday party, or has the mission kind of changed?
No, her birthday was in January, or is in January. And usually that was the months people would prefer, but the landing would have to close by the end of the year. So it's been in the spring, it's been in the fall. One year we had 2 in 1 year to fit it in. And then once the pandemic hit, we stopped. Yeah.
And it's coming back this year. It's going to be on December 3rd. Can you tell me a little bit about the challenges maybe with bringing it back and what your hopes are for this year?
I don't know that there's any challenges. I feel like the thing is, it is such a, I use the word beloved. I remember the first one I went to when I got here 10 years ago, and it was the best time. I had just a blast. And I still think it's one of the best things that happens on Peaks Island, honestly. And so it's just momentum. I mean, it's always been there as far as I'm concerned. It's always been there. And so it's just keeping that going.
That's great. So as somebody who has not been to the ladies' ball, it's always sort of a mystery to me what it's like to be there. Can you tell folks who maybe this is going to be their first year or they're thinking about going what they should expect?
Do you want to say anything about that?
I'll say how it was, what we would do. So one of the things, if you would like to bring an appetizer, you could, and a lot of people would. So we didn't provide the food. We let the guests provide food. We made our own music. We had our own music. And we would just stand around and chat and admire each other's dresses. And then at some point the music came on and people just danced and really enjoyed yourself. The bar was always open if you wanted to. But you didn't have to. You just paid your way in and enjoyed yourself for the evening. You could sit at the table and or you could dance away.
Was it always intended for older, women for 21 and over?
It was always, yes, because we always had a bartender. We always had somebody 10 bar, so it was always 21 and over.
Yeah, so that's going to be a little bit different this year. So the early part will be for the younger crowd or for everyone. And then after, I think it's the first hour, then it's 21 plus, so. Last year there was a lot of little ones there. Actually, Sandy brought her granddaughter, right? She has, yeah. So that's a little bit different from last time and from times previous. Also, yeah, I don't know. I don't know how I'm trying to keep it really much the same, as much as makes sense. Charging a little more money this year, which, I think is still, it's a donation. So that's based on what you can pay. And, yeah, otherwise just have it stay about the same. And in my experience, it was always just, yeah, like you described, you show up and there's a bunch of people standing around looking gorgeous. And then after an hour or two, everyone's just really dancing the whole rest of the time.
We used to decorate the day or 2 days before. A lot of lights and something that glistens. And it was fun.
I want to ask you about Fabio.
Oh, Fabio lives at the Landing or at Robbins.
Okay, but how did he become involved?
From Robin.
That would be a question for her.
Yes. So he always makes an appearance. He's
the mascot.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like there's got to be more of a story behind that.
What reason do you have to say that?
We always found him in the back room where they store alcohol. But whether he stays there all year, we're not sure.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I have something to say. So have you seen the Barbie movie? Have you gone to see it?
We have not seen it yet. Nope.
Okay. Well, it's delightful. And there really is, I feel like, a recognition in that movie for sure of how girls and women behave when they're in their midst, all together, and how, it's just magical. It's kind of delightful when you remove, not that men aren't wonderful, but when you have just one token cardboard man there, it's very fun. It's very playful. It kind of sets a tone that I can't describe, I guess. It's hard to describe. Yeah.
He gets his photo taken quite often.
We'll have to dig some of those up. I think you sent me one.
That's great. So tell me a little bit more about that. So even for folks who haven't seen the Barbie movie, I think there can be a real understanding of how important that is to not necessarily feel sort of checked by the outside influences of men or like the broader community. What place do you think even if like a fun event like this has for bringing women together in community?
For one, a lot of people don't get dressed up very often. So that in itself is different and it's fun to do.
And I would say little girls tend to love to do that, wouldn't you?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. My daughter adores doing that. Yeah.
Part of our DNA somehow.
Yeah, so that's one piece of it. If you have a spouse or a partner, they don't always want to do something like that. So it's your chance.
That's very true.
To step away and do that and have a lot of fun at the same time.
Right. Yeah, and not feel like you're lacking anything, because that's not the point of it. The point is your ladies and your friends and that's it's a really wonderful energy. It's very fun. It's very playful, and I think important actually to for sisterhood to exist in that way. I think it's huge, and it's fun to see people dancing. There are people who dance and it's a thing. They really go for it, and you wouldn't expect it.
And I think too, it's also the age of the women. When it starts at 21 and over, you can have someone 21 and you can have somebody 50 and then somebody in their 70s. I have a photo of myself and my daughter, my sister, her daughter, and my mother.
Wow.
That all attended. And we are in a photo with Fabio.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point, actually, the mixture of the ages, where you wouldn't otherwise hang out with somebody. This is an opportunity to do that. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I think I keep using the word, I think, important, but I do believe that. I think that community, we're responsible for how we create community. And this is, I think, just one of those events that it seems frivolous and silly, but it's not to me. And I think a lot of people feel that way.
And I think most people have a really nice time, so you walk away feeling good, and as well as feeling good while you're there, and again mixing with people that you might not mingle with at another time, which is a good thing too.
Yeah, I'm interested in the intergenerational part too. So I think and actually to follow up on the piece about it being a women-only event, when you have men, or in the case of younger women, boys in the mix, it sort of makes it seem like, oh, gee, I wouldn't want my mom there. I wouldn't want my grandma there. But when you have an intergenerational dance like this, that's exclusively for women. Do you find that there's more of a like an openness to that sort of connection, or just like dancing in a silly way with your grandkid or with your parent?
I definitely think some of the dresses people might not have worn if there were if there were males there.
Yeah.
You're relaxed, I think.
Yeah, I think that's right. And I find too that, oftentimes it's not intentional, but when you're in a room with men and women, I do notice sometimes that the conversation tends to steer toward what the man is talking about generally. It's just one of those things. This is our world that we live in, and it's so subtle sometimes that you don't think of it because it's so common. But in this situation, that's removed, and So I think, yeah, it's pretty significant that there are no men present except for Fabio, of course.
I don't know if we did it more than 1 year, but I know there was 1 year, some of the husbands would, they were chauffeurs.
Oh, yeah.
And a couple wore tuxedos or bow tie. I mean, it was very nice. It was very nice. That was in the very, very beginning.
Like a limousine service kind of thing?
Sort of, yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, and I did want to mention that the Legion traditionally was open up after the ladies' ball, and that will be happening this time too. I just got confirmation. So if there are men who are out and about on a Sunday night and want to hang out there, the ladies' ball will be done by 9:30.
And in the past, any food left over, we would walk up and bring the food, and everyone could enjoy that as well. 1 year, the year my daughter and we walked up, and my husband and my 2 sons were there, so we never got a photo, but my whole family was at the Legion at the same time. And it was after a ball gown party, so it was fun.
Terrific. So you talked at the beginning about Sandy making a decision that she wanted to have money donated to breast cancer research, and that tradition sort of carried through. How much money, how much impact do you think has been made for breast cancer research because of this event over the years?
Each year, I was trying to think. Each year, it's been different. Would be close to $1,000, I think, give or take. There's 1 year I know it was $850. Sometimes we would take it in that evening and then wait a few days or so. And this is how far it goes back. I would go and get a money order with all my cash to send. That's how we would do it. So I had contact with this one woman, and in the very beginning, Robin sent it. And then she asked us to take that piece of it over. And so we would just collect the money, put it right there during the night, and keep it and then send it off. But it would be a little under or over, I think, $1,000.
That's a big impact for a small island community to make each year.
And people, a lot of people would donate who couldn't attend, or if they would. It was only $5 to get in. They might give you 10. Sometimes they give you 20.
Mm-hmm. And is there a way for folks who are not able to attend this year to still make donations this year too?
Yes, of course. I don't know why they would not be able to do that. They're welcome to. I have a Venmo. I can give it to you if you want to say that on the air.
Perfect.
Yeah. Okay.
The other thing years ago, I worked at Take a Peek, and if it was off season, we often decorate the window with dresses and announce the ball. And then we would also let people know how much money we had made. Sometimes if we couldn't do it there, the candy store would put it in the window too. And it was a thank you as well.
That's terrific. Any other thoughts or anything else that you want to share with the island to make sure that they know what to look forward to?
If you're hesitant and think, oh, just go.
Yeah. There's no harm, and it's for a good cause. So, at least you can give to that cause and come for an hour. And if it's not for you, then, you can leave. But who doesn't like to get dressed up and go to a party? I mean, what else are you going to do on a Sunday afternoon in December?
Mm-hmm. That's true. And before we go, I want to make sure that we hear at least a couple of the funny stories that you were talking about before we pressed record too. So I think you had said when you were when Robin was still the owner of the Jones Landing, that you would arrange with her how a setup and cleanup would go.
So we would accumulate things, and so we had lights and trimmings and put everything up, and then after the ball, Sunday morning, we would go in, and I should say it was Sandy and myself and Deborah Kendall, who doesn't live here anymore. The three of us used to walk together, so we became sort of the crew to do that. and we would go in the Sunday and clean up and whatever, glasses and whatnot, if anything like that. But most people were really good this Saturday night. But there was always a lot of sequins and things on the floor, and we'd vacuum. And I discovered that I really liked her backpack vacuum. So we would do that, and sometimes leave a little thank you for Robin. And one year it was Fabio waiting for her when she returned from church.
Any need for volunteers this year, I guess, for things like cleanup, or do you have a crew going on?
I'm going to say, please connect with me about any help would be appreciated, actually, in all seriousness. And because I have a playlist and maybe I have a disco ball at my house, so I can bring that in. But otherwise, I don't.
Robin has a disco ball.
She does? Mm-hmm. Okay, so we'll have 2 disco balls.
If it's still there. Yeah.
Which is great. But yeah, lights or volunteers to help set up or clean up would be definitely appreciated, because I don't know. I'm making all of this up as I go, but
that's what we did every time.
Yeah, exactly. What's the worst that could happen, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Great. Well, thank you both so much for sharing information about the Ladies' Ball. I'm sure it'll be a wonderful success this year too, and I'm sure that Bridget will be there and will enjoy.
Yeah.
I might send her the microphone.
Oh, that'd be great.
Right.
Yeah, I'm really excited.
Thank you both so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.